Hey, how is it going, internet streets, internet world, all of my fellow YouTube listeners or Spotify listeners, Google Podcast listeners, Apple Podcast listeners? Those are the platforms I now have my podcast on, and I am still relatively new to doing this. I've dibbled and dabbled with, editing media content. When I say media, I'm mostly referring to video content. So it's definitely a little bit different when you're just strictly doing like an audio file. Um, yeah, it's actually really fun though, because I do like to talk and I feel like I have a lot that I want to contribute to the world as far as, mixing some of my positive energy out here in the universe, in the world, just, because there's so much negativity in the world and it doesn't hurt to be a positive person and shine your light a little bit and make someone smile or just give someone a little bit of hope or a little bit of optimism in their life. So, with that being said, I do want to say thank you all to the people who are listening to my podcast. I am trying to promote it a little bit better because I am someone who doesn't really like the spotlight that much. I kind of like, moving in silence, moving in the background, and I guess slowly shining my light, I guess. I don't have none of this written down. I'm just like going off the dome, just letting whatever comes to mind just flow and come out my mouth, because if I think too hard on what I want to say or if I try to like coordinate it too much, it'll make it a little bit harder for me to just say what I need to say. But yeah, I do want to thank you all for listening, and I just realized I didn't even, introduce myself. I do want to make sure I do that in all my podcasts, but my name is Unique, and this is my podcast, Get Inspired with Unique. I started this podcast almost 2 weeks ago, and I'm super excited about it. And again, you can find my podcast on YouTube. I publish all my podcasts on there first, and then I later bring it to Spotify, which then gets pushed over to Google Podcast and then Apple Podcast. And yeah, in today's podcast, I want to talk about being told no and just pretty much talking on the concept of rejection being your protection. So again, being told no in life, getting your hopes up for something, and, just being rejected, and how, that rejection provides a sense of protection for you. Now, what made me come up with this concept or this idea for this podcast was a message I received this morning for a job that I had applied to. I had really just worked really hard as far as tweaking my resume, updating my resume, reading through the job listing or the job posting, and, figuring out what the company was looking for, and then writing a one-page cover letter for that job posting. I was trying to go above and beyond and just stand out. And, I've just been out of practice when it comes to applying to jobs, because I didn't really need to do that for a while because I had my last job 5.5 years. And before I made the decision that I wanted to walk away from the company for reasons that I mentioned in the previous podcast, which, if you haven't listened to it, it was titled Knowing Your Worth. You are valuable. So if you haven't listened to that podcast, I encourage you to go listen to it, because I do feel like It was a really good podcast. But because of, my time with that job, I, didn't really need to look for another opportunity. Well, I did need to look for one, but I had a job. So that's, I guess what I'm saying is I wasn't really trying to look for another job at the time. So, you know how the saying goes, if you don't use it, you will lose it. And that typically applies to, your talents, your skills, things you're good at. When you don't do something for a long time, you can start to get rusty with it. And nobody wants that. If you spend a lot of time doing something, you want to maintain that skill. You want to always keep it going, keep practicing, keep doing it, even if it's for a hobby. Like, don't ever just stop doing something you enjoy or something you're good at. So I say all of that to go back to what I was mentioning about getting rusty with, you know, my interviewing practice and, getting my resume ready and all of that. Well, long story short, because I've been talking long enough, I got a message this morning, literally this morning. It is currently Monday, August 14th. The year is 2023, and the time is 7:21 p.m. right now on the clock. And this morning at, I think it was 8:52 a.m., I got a message from the Indeed.com app, and it was a message from the HR department of the company that I had applied to. And they pretty much said they wanted to, why am I stuttering over my words? I'm not going to edit this out. I'm just going to let it be what it's going to be. They pretty much thanked me for my time interviewing with them, and they told me they wanted to move forward with a different candidate. And I did feel very disappointed because this was actually the second phase or the second step of the interview process. And when I completed my first phase of the interview with them, um, I can't remember what her title was. I don't know if she was the CEO or the director of sales, or she was the head. Like, she was in the top position of the company. So she may have been the owner of the company. It was a small company, but she told me that I interviewed very well with her and she looked forward to doing the follow-up interview. This was literally like, I want to say 5 days ago, 5 or 6 days ago. So I was feeling pretty confident that everything was going smoothly. And when we did the second round of interviews, it was a Zoom video conference. So, everybody gets to see your face. They can put a face to the voice, a face to the name. And I felt like I interviewed well even when that was going on. I didn't stutter over my words. I knew what I wanted to say, how I needed to say it. I dressed for the part. I looked real good. I take very good care of myself. I don't let myself look bad or anything like that. So I felt like I was dotting every I and crossing every T, as the saying or the phrase goes when you're just really trying to be thorough. And, you know, having my hopes up about everything and then getting nervous after the interview process because you're thinking to yourself, how well did I do? I was just like, let me not overthink it, Unique. You did a good job. So just wait for them to respond back, because I'm sure they have several other candidates they have to do this whole video conference situation with. And so to see that message at 8:52 this morning, it kind of disappointed me. And I don't know, like, I allowed myself to feel the sting of the rejection in that moment. And then about, 10 minutes later, I just moved on and just allowed myself to enjoy the day. I guess that's the best way to say it. Like, I didn't want to just sit and ponder on that one moment all day. I just said to myself, go ahead and just apply to some other positions because they probably did not want to pay you a decent amount of money anyway, I don't know. I'm not saying that they were going to do that. I'm just thinking of different reasons why they could have said no. Maybe they wanted to pay someone less money for the position than what they advertised on the job listing or the job board. There is also a possibility they may have felt I was overqualified. One of my friends was letting me know that is also another reason why companies can sometimes, tell you no. If they think that you're too qualified for whatever position they're trying to hire you for, then they're not going to waste their time bringing you on board because you're probably going to get tired of the position and eventually, go look somewhere else. I don't know. But this company turning me down is definitely going to allow me to look for something better elsewhere because companies are always out here looking to hire. And so I'm not going to let this, defeat me or upset me. And so that's what gave me the idea to, make this podcast today. Rejection being your protection when you're being told no. Again, like I said, this company telling me no is going to allow me to work somewhere else that will probably pay me way better than what they were going to pay me. So I wanted to, I guess, sprinkle a little bit of encouragement into someone else's life if they're going through some type of, rejection, whether it's like applying for a job or, you're going on a date trying to meet somebody new and you feel like you really like them, but then it turns out they don't like you back. And so they either ghost you, which I hope they wouldn't do, or they just tell you up front, hey, I think you're a cool guy or a cool girl, but I'm not feeling the vibe, or I don't think we should try to pursue dating, or however they try to say it. So whether you're feeling your rejection from dating or whatever else, somebody telling you no is not going to be the end of the world. It really is not. Because there's always opportunities out there in the world just waiting for you. The opportunity is just waiting to be sought out. You got to go out and just keep pushing. If everybody allowed no's and rejections to put them down, then we wouldn't have all of the technology and the toys, the social media, the buildings, the companies, the cars, just everything that you can think of that money can buy, or the things that are free. Somebody had to have an idea in mind to create something and then put it out there in the world or in the universe so people could benefit from it. We're all benefiting from someone's idea. Someone had an idea to create a car. And look at us now in the year 2023. Everyone has a car. Well, let me not say everyone. If you're under a certain age or if you're still in middle school, you're probably not going to have a car, But you know what I mean. If someone didn't have the idea to create a cell phone, we wouldn't have cell phones. Somebody had to be willing to have an idea and pursue it. And I'm pretty sure the people who came up with these inventions probably had a lot of no's, whether that's trying to get funding or get a big company to back you up as far as, hey, I have an idea to create this amazing product, but I need someone with resources and tools and a large manufacturing company or warehouse or something to make this product for me, yada, yada, yada. Sometimes people will be like, nope, I don't want to back that up, or I don't want to risk putting money into this because I don't think it's going to work out. It's the same thing with what companies do when it comes to reaching out to shareholders or the public to purchase stocks or shares of a company. Every time someone buys stocks, their money actually, goes toward building up the company's finances. It's a similar concept when it comes to that. So let me digress from that. What I'm trying to say is don't let a no discourage you from that potential yes. Or let's not even say that potential yes, that pending yes. Again, I'm going to say that pending yes, because that yes is going to make its way to you. You're going to get that yes. You just have to be persistent and keep pushing to get it. So I don't want to drag this podcast out any longer than I already have been talking. I guess the point has been delivered, or the point has been made, as far as not letting the world bring you down when you're told no. It's very easy to get discouraged. And I would imagine it's even harder for people of certain demographics or certain ethnicities or certain, races and backgrounds. It's not easy. Life is very difficult. But if you know the right people and you network and you speak to people and you put your face out there, good things have to follow if you do enough of the right things. If you put enough action behind your words and behind your ideas, then at some point something has to happen. Like, you can't hit a roadblock forever. You just can't. The only way that you would have a permanent roadblock is if you decide to stop trying. You are your own worst enemy in life. The moment you decide that you're going to give up and you're going to stop trying, that's when you make your no permanent. That's when that rejection is really going to just stop you. So you can't give up and you can't stop. You have to keep going. Keep yourself busy. Keep moving. Keep pushing. That's all you got to do. So I'm going to go ahead and just stop this podcast here. Yeah. With that, I will go ahead and wish you all well. Thanks for listening. Take care of yourselves. All right.